misbehaving. I don't like that.
So how was that? Can I get like at least 2 to 3 takeaways from that practice? Anybody ear check, Cameron?
Well, I don't know. I found it really hard to keep a straight face, period. I don't know if it was just because it was peers or I haven't really been in the classroom that often. I never had that, but that practice was really kind of difficult.
No, you made you aware of your facial expression and the impact that
Exactly.
had.
And then I couldn't hold laughter. So.
Okay, well I want you to think about that because this idea of keeping a neutral face from both ends of the spectrum. We don't want to be too informal, casual. We don't want to be too strict with it either. We're trying to find that sweet spot so that I didn't hear you pushing for, right? Awesome. Leonard?
I mean, I don't think it's because you're new, because it was difficult for a lot of us who have been teaching for a while, because it's something that's like completely unnatural.
Yeah.
Like when somebody talks, like you want to look at them. So Fran is talking, like I want to hear what she has to say, but to ask Fran a question and to completely disregard Fran and look at everybody else. I mean, but that's essentially what you're doing. Like you're not looking at her, you're looking at every other person except the one who's talking. So it's difficult.
It's like all
And some people might articulate it that way, but how would you articulate that, Esther?
I mean, the first letter, no. I would say, but like oftentimes I'll say, I'm listening to you, but I'm just not looking at you. So you can acknowledge that, and I think people will just understand that, and even if they feel some type of way, you still acknowledge it. And then also if you repeat something that they said or whatever, then you can let them know that you're listening to them by other means. That's what I would say. Thank you for you.
For me. Esther, did you ever take away that you wanted to this now?
I did. I want to say with my group, I feel like we're in a place, well, at least the group I work with, where a lot of people are very reflective and they just stop and they're like, oh, I know that I need to do that. Do that again. So I found that there were 3 or 4 people that just like stopped and was like, yeah, just do that again. Sure. Because the feedback that I would have given and provided, they already knew, even though I didn't say anything.
That's awesome. That's an awesome thing to do. Thank you for sharing that. Phoebe?
Tying into like the difficulty issue, this is something that Jabari and I have actually been working on a lot in our coaching meetings. And what I found is that, like any skill, like it's really hard at the beginning because you do have to think about it. Like I've improved, but originally I had to like stop and like, all right, Phoebe, make sure you're scanning, and that's when it's really hard to also listen to the speaker. But once you get better and better at it, then it's habit. So I'm starting to get to a place where now it's more habit that I'm scanning, so now I have more brain space freed up for the listening part. So I think it's just like building that habit in ourselves will then help us be able to do the listening at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I think with some of I'm going to come back at the end for more share outs of that. There's a place for that. But I just kind of want to make sure that I'm trying to think about like where we are and like our ability to execute on these skills, but also in our ability to really catch ourselves and push our own development. I wanted to go over the next steps that we're going to be doing come Monday. Can I get Brett? Can you read out the next steps for us, please?
Sure. All staff check hands, eyes, and voices every 10 seconds or less. Leadership team observe every teacher at least 4 times during this week. Leadership team provide feedback to support consistently scanning hands, eyes, and voices, and using effective nonverbals. Leadership team provide additional support and feedback to staff as necessary.
So we just wanted to be completely transparent that like this is our heavy priority and our focus as far as like the lens that we're using when we come into classrooms starting Monday morning. Okay? This is kind of what the next steps are from the leadership team standpoint, but I also want to make sure I go over the next steps from what we're asking for teachers to do as well. So can you flip over to the last page? Slight error. This number right here, 4 times, not going to be 4 times, it's going to be 2 times that you'll be actually talking specifically about these elements with your coach. Okay? So you'll, the observation will be happening 2 times next week, not 4 times. But what we're going to be asking you to do, just to kind of push like our ability to be self-aware, there's a document that we use when we're doing our observations, but this is also a really helpful document to use as a reflection tool also. So I know for the people that I coach, I'm going to be asking them to videotape at least one lesson and actually fill out this tool, giving their own individual sets of like what they think they're effective at and where they feel like they need to push as it relates to the key elements that we practice. So I just want to go over and explain how you read the document. So if you look at the very bottom, of course, you see like the repeated criteria for success, so just so you know how these elements are broken down and specifically what we're looking for. But if you go to the table, starting from the left, the priority just really reinforces our understanding that we're pushing stealth. And in the column, the second column to the right, which we've entitled self-checker, those are just some helpful points for you to utilize for yourself, a checklist that generally speaking, if I hit these things underneath the self-checker, my ability to execute strongly on being a stealthy teacher is greater than if I don't hit these checkpoints. And then what I try to do on the third column is, well, if I'm not able to hit those 3 checkpoints, these are some possible areas in which I can push my practice, and this is what I'm going to try to focus on. These are some of the things that I might be missing out on. I might be, when I call a student, forgetting to scan the rest of the classroom. So what we try to do, when we give you feedback, we try to be very specific on 1 to 2 key things that you can focus on for your next go around. When you do your reflection, when you get to column 3 and 4, I want you just to be able to identify 1 or 2 key areas that you want to commit for yourself to push when you go into teaching your next group. Are there any questions as far as how to utilize this document with pushing yourself and being a self-teacher? So we're going to communicate what we want you specifically to do with this tool, just so you feel prepared utilizing this on your own. So what I want you to do is I want you to turn to your neighbor and I want you to make a commitment as far as what you specifically are going to do to ensure you do this effectively come Monday morning. So go ahead and turn to your neighbor. I want to say thank you for your participation and your engagement during this session. That's it for my session. I appreciate everything that you've done to make this awesome. If you have any announcements from Jabari, everybody have a great and warm weekend.